close.
And you can do that as a game, like
As it's
if a new pitch, yeah, you can just keep updating it.
Yeah, so you could just keep going back to that. Like, I would just take a screenshot of it.
and send it to you.
No, you put it into the Telegram at the end of the game, and then go take a picture. You pick the player of the game. You know, just I would definitely pick off the winning team.
Yeah. And then
Unless a kid goes like 4 for 4, 3 home runs, and like lose.
I mean, but yeah.
Most of the time, 98% of the time.
And then just get a good background picture of them. So like, you know, maybe your scoreboard in the background. You know, looks pretty sweet. And then you ain't getting the bad view here. Just don't take it like next to the bathroom, or if he's wearing a perfect game hat, don't take it, or his hat on backwards. Just make sure he's like, you know,
Make sure his eyes are open.
yeah. And these are your umpires. And,
Yeah, each regular runs.
yep. Usually, like, we'll go stick like 4 balls on the middle of home plate, like some pearls.
Oh, so they're just waiting for
Yep.
them.
So they're just waiting for them in between games.
Yeah, oh, that's how it always
This
works.
kid's got some big kids on the team.
Hang on a moment.
She's amazing. West Palm is probably 98 degrees already. What you need to do, Benedict?
I make this. Sign here. I remember going to my brother's. I remember
Right? Give me that from here.
Well, yeah, but it was a weird thing.
like I'm looking at my salary and I'm looking at our mortgage and I'm like, oh yeah, you and I just have
So they know the rate.
I would actually be happy to eat. It's actually happening.
How old are these guys?
26.
Dude, this guy's pretty cool. He's got better stuff than Brady Burgess.
Yeah.
A slow curveball, he's got a slider. 65 on the slow curveball. 68.
So for this, it's gonna be the same thing. Finding the game on your phone. But instead of doing set lineup, start broadcast, use the this device. Okay.
I think he's got 82.
Then you put it in, and then it's just like starting a video. It's weird.
Look at that power slider. There it is. This kid might not give up for real. And then just be careful, like that thing that has a mic on it. Yeah.
Alright, and now I'll just start scoring and
He'll show you.
hitting is 5-star.
So this icon right here, this says check the live. Little TV thing.
Choose picture.
So yeah,
I think it'll be easy to
these are ball strikes, this is ball and play.
kitchen for
And then if you're looking ground ball out the second, you just ball and play, ground ball out, and then just click on the second baseman.
just keep the phone in a second, check it out.
Yeah. You can do it for like an inning or two. And then you can leave this out, and it won't delete like the game. So you can leave that out, go on your notes, update it.
There's a pin if you need to write stuff down, like games, and, you know.
Cool, thank you.
And then,
Right here, you can reach right here. Make sure you got range, left side.
and then umpires will usually come to you and tell you when there's a substitution, but sometimes they.
Sometimes I don't. I just gotta pay attention for it.
Yeah. There's a video right there.
You do a ball and play.
All the line drive to pitcher.
Yeah. And then there's a submit button on the bottom right.
Left the mark.
And then
I'm gonna watch it because I don't even know how to do this.
Give yourself room, we need yourself range, right now showing. I got one out, come on kid! Come on! Hey, cut that rip right here! Sit down, be on time! Nothing changes right here, get your strike right now. You earned it, don't get cheated, let it fly. Hey, man! Front side right here, man. Go, man! I got one out!
You got this for two?
You tell me the position players.
Press the issue right here. Press the issue. Go. Get in there, Nico. Get in there. Look at one out.
He's like 77 to 81. He was 81 for the first couple pitches. And he hasn't come back
Right
yet.
here. You just have to sit right here. Him. Him. Deep breath right here, right after. Good prep step. Ready to go left side. Let's go, that's it. Get over your front side. Get over your front side. Nice. Him. Pinch middle. Here we go, one. Make sure you got left to right. Even out. One. Yeah. Deep breath. One. Nobody better right here, Isaac. I go one, fuck it. Yeah, one. Let's go. Good job, Dad. One more, let's go. Yeah, bud. I need you to challenge. Eat right here. Hey, get the barrel to it right now. The process that challenges. Come on. Look at 1-1. 2-4-2. Oh, yeah.
Two balls, two strikes.
I go 1-1. 1-1.
Ball. 3-2.
Pretty simple.
Yeah.
Just, you know, sometimes there's crazy plays and stuff like that. You know, you can keep it simple, like throw a rundown or whatever. You don't have to sit there and say, just say, just have to tap it. Yeah. Like I say, if you ever get in trouble, most of the time there's a lot of people that
Guys at the top, but these guys
I tend to run into a lot of people sometimes not even at the school. You need to like tell you on the sheet that every time somebody touches football. I had this kid in Florida who's like, that's 14-4. And I was like, it's fair because it was, no, it was 14-6. And now I look at his scorebook and he had 14-4. Like, it was 3 different scores. You know, like, you know, Mikey, Mikey, Logan's buddy.
Yeah.
And basically, that's just,
Yeah, he was going on his phone,
that's
watching
it.
shows or movies.
Yeah, movies. He's texting the gay girls. Dude, your phone is really different. People do you have power in here so you can make sure your phone stays charged?
See the outlet right here.
They should.
Yeah, they got power. Yes, sir. Just make sure your phone stays charged. That usually lasts all day, right?
These batteries are really good.
They lasted in Arizona.
Yeah. Like after the second game, I'll throw it on for about like 20 minutes between games, just to like make sure. Probably don't need it. And they charge really quick too.
Hey, only 2 guys out front. Hey, you got 2 more here.
Trusky is city.
last one here.
Trotsky's a guy. Started the program.
Good cut. Have fun, Marco. Here we go, bud.
Get your shot in there with the tires just being soft.
Last game was 77 maybe win. This one is 74.
This is 15 U?
All right, Marco, get on it.
16 U?
2 balls, 2 strikes.
Yeah, 26.
He's already a year younger than you then? Or
No.
same age? Your team's not playing this week.
go, Marco. Right here, win it.
Go, Marco. Boy.
Nice, Marco.
I don't think this guy's got enough tread. Is he?
Because the front is on the left side.
And he's got a double foul or is it one double foul?
Down angle. Run on down angle. Let him brush him off. Wait.
Stop. What are you doing?
Don't let him brush him off. Stay on the dish right here.
Justin had to disappoint Nate. He was trying to get out of there.
Right on down angle. Pick off.
Oh yeah, nowhere. Yeah, where was he?
Can you put me in San Pasquale?
Where'd you put him at?
I put him,
Look out, need you.
he brought a couple of buddies from Arizona.
Yeah.
So I had him down in like southern Scott with 3 fields. He's over at Otay.
Okay, Otay Ranch? Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Otay?
Yeah.
Yeah, Otay Ranch.
Justin off that. Justin off that.
Yeah, that's a nice little field down there. A lot of those fields are newer because the development, like there used to be nothing down there and now it's fucking housing complexes everywhere.
Yeah, we picked that one up. We had
Whenever we want to.
Stump's Ranch. Friday and Monday.
Oh, just for 2 days?
Just for 2 days, I guess, through the Facilitron and didn't know like something. One of them fill out paperwork in time or something.
Dude, fuck the Facilitron. I'm so over all shit. It's so annoying. It's so lame because like just a couple years ago, it was literally I signed a piece of paper, 2 pieces of paper, get them signed by front desk lady, the admin, and we're good. And I would bill it, like it would be under me, it would be a fundraiser, they wouldn't charge me anything. Because they're like, oh, you're gonna be there the whole time. But they, you know, everyone all the districts got sold on Facilitron. Like, oh, someone probably came in and was like, you guys are losing out on money on these programs that are using your facilities. Hire us so that way you can get your money's worth, right? But then what ends up happening is they gotta pay Facilitron. So they gotta charge whatever they're charging to make enough to pay Facilitron and have them take their nut, whatever it is. So what does the school end up making out of it? It's barely anything. And it's like now I'm a school program, right? Like this is for our baseball team. The money that we raise for this goes towards buying balls, for hats, jerseys, whatever. I mean, baseball is out of all the sports, right? Like I think per player, like baseball is gotta be the most expensive sport, or the sport that requires the most money. Like football always makes the most money and eats up a good amount, but because they have 1 million kids, they have good equipment, right? Baseball kids get their own equipment, right? But football fields, they're all artificial turf now. They're not taking care of them. They're not having to put work into laser leveling them, putting more material on the field, taking material off, making sure the irrigation's working. Like I've been saying for the last year and a half, like I really need to put together a budget of like roughly what an annual year of taking care of a baseball field would cost, and like show that to the school and be like, look, this is what it costs to run a baseball field. You guys pay a third party landscaping company to come mow our outfield every other week sometimes, and they do a shitty job with the irrigation. They try, but they're not. That's not what they're good at, right? They're good at cutting the grass. They're not great at. They have one irrigation guy that'll come in. He's an awesome dude, native dude on a freaking crutch that works in slow motion because he's old and hobbled. So and that's the whole thing though too, is if you want to get anything taken care of on your field, you have to do it yourself. Because if you leave it up to the school, they're gonna do the bare minimum, and then your field's gonna look like shit or play like shit.
Like in Florida, Hillsborough County, or regions, they're all trying to like get all together and just say turf them up.
Well, for Florida, that doesn't suck because it rains so much. So
here, you have grass. But the Facilitron thing, like, for 15 years, I've been doing handshake deals with places, you know, like, and now it's like, you know, you go through that system, and then if somebody else books him and then backs out.
Let me ask you this: in 15 years, how many times did you ever have anyone sue you or get in legal troubles over a tournament handshake deal?
0.
Right? Because baseball players too, like
We're all baseball
your
guys.
clientele that comes in, right? No one's gonna ever blame the facility on someone wearing a ground ball in the face. You know what I mean? Like, some fields are good, some fields are not as good, but that's also part of the game, right? And so that is what they try to sell it on. They're trying to say like, oh well, we need to have this for legal purposes. But even then, when we were doing the handshake deals, that was part of it. Was hey, you got to make sure that you have your. It was signatures and insurance. Yep. You send over an email that shows proof of insurance, you're covered, then you're good.
Basically what it was.
But so it's really just a money grab, but it's not really like no one. The only person that's really winning is Facilitron. Like it's bureaucracy. They're not. It's not necessary because most facilities, most schools, they're not gonna rent their field out to just random people. But when you put it on Facilitron, anyone can access it and rent it out. But then what happens, okay, now what happens if someone rents out my baseball field that isn't using it for baseball and they tear my field up, right? Is like, who's gonna, they charge $50 to $60 an hour for custodial, but all that really is them either unlocking the fields in the morning or locking them up at the end, and every once in a while they'll take out the trash and clean the bathrooms. Over these next 4 days, I guarantee you'll see me take out trash cans and clean the bathrooms more than you'll see any facilities person. So it's just
It's Arizona, and we made a deal with a travel team, and we had to rent porta johns. You basically needed bathrooms on site, so the school wasn't going to allow them.
They automatically had them
Proficient.
Yeah, it's just,
As long as there's 2 outs.
well, it's funny.
especially out here, like,
Bring this guy.
pre-COVID,
Yeah, how do I put it
like, we
back
had
to
good
So good.
Yeah,
fields, and when COVID hit, man, it was like death to us, essentially.
yeah,
And then
Click on
it
him,
started
just
to come
said,
back,
"Get out of
and we got up to
here."
70 teams this year.
yeah.
So,
Well, I'm working my way because at first it was like we were getting charged a shit ton, and now like I'm able to work
So
with my
all
eyes,
these
give
are
them
these-
enough heads up. You guys give me a shit ton of heads up, so
And then now
like
it's just a foul ball.
what I've got it down to is they should only be charging me like 1 hour, maybe 2 hours of custodial per day, which again that's like $50-$60 an hour, so it does add up. But when it's only 1 per day, that's a lot more manageable because then the field price itself is super low, which doesn't make any sense. Why how are we charging less for the field than we are for custodian to come up here and be here on overtime working an extra job? You know what I mean? And most of the time the custodian is like, well, not. They're like, they don't want to be here. I'm like, look, I'll tell them, I'm like, look, dude, just give me a bunch of extra trash bags and I will take care of it. Like, and give me some extra cakes for the, the toilets. Like, I have a key to
when
the
it gets to
storage
that
back there.
point, and you like ask us, I'll be like, hey, I'll get out there and do it too. Like,
Oh yeah,
okay, the deal, since we added them so late, they were like, hey, we want to have somebody out there drive the field, but we can make the mounds and home plates. And I was like, so my score people put it to
Yeah.
between games, it's one of those things. Where,
Yeah.
We'll make adjustments on the fly
No,
just
yeah.
to have a field.
you got to solve problems as they come up, especially in the job that you're doing, because it rarely does it ever go perfectly smoothly, right? Something always comes up, and then you got to adjust, and you do the best that you can. So, yeah, no, I remember
We host events in Florida, and it starts raining. We're out there, throwing turfus and raking and everything. I don't rely on
No.
like the county people to get out there.
Well, it's funny too because we have an admin that her first year. I'm in Cooperstown coaching my 12U team, and I've got my coaches here running a tournament. She didn't even know about it until she drove by and she saw the people who we were renting the tournament out to because at that time we didn't have the bathrooms out there. So they brought their own porta potties because ours were destroyed, right? And so they saw that there was an extra set of porta potties up here, and she's like, "What the heck's going on?" Like there's I gotta know if there's extra porta potties. I'm like, they're providing us an extra service, so that way we can have a good product for what we're doing. And there's literally nothing that you have to worry about with this.
It's so bad in Mesa. We just came. I just came,
Arizona, yeah.
Yeah, I just came from there, and at the Cubs complex, they'll just drop a bomb on you and be like, hey man, we can't, we're prepping between every game, we don't have enough staff. And
Yeah.
like, well, it's not coming off our bill. Like, you know, like, we basically, we're about to like leave Mesa because we just can't even like host a tournament because the teams notice.
Yeah.
You know, the teams are like, they get out there at Gene, I don't know if you guys know, at Gene Autry Park and
Actually, just went to, well,
it turns into like a dust bowl.
Was it, are you talking about like the actual, like I just went to the Cubs spring training facility for the first time last
We
summer.
use the full fields like,
Around it, yeah.
around it. And every year they say 2 of them are going to open. So then they're down 2 fields. And then they want you to bring these events to the city so it shows how much revenue
Yeah.
you're bringing to the city of Mesa. But how are you supposed to sell a product when you're not giving us good fields?
Yeah. Well, that's them too. I feel like relying on the fact that we're a major league facility or we're a spring training facility, so people are gonna be excited to use our field no matter what. But that's the point
But
of
it's
playing
actually
on
not
those.
through the Cubs, it's through like
The actual city itself?
City
Wow.
of Mesa. And they basically hire non-baseball guys, but the Cubs, like at the other parks, Gene Autry and Red Mountain, they'll hire like city guys to come do the fields, and then just like they don't even
Know what they're doing.
If for them to say, hey, we can give you one drag a day, you know, out of 4 games, and we're like, dude, it just doesn't work that way.
Yeah. Well, I don't, and you put so much time and effort into keeping a field nice or getting it nice, like, that's part of keeping it nice, is taking care of it in between games. Like, if you, the best thing and the worst, or the worst thing for a field is overuse or underuse. Like, we saw what happened in COVID when no one was using the fields. They all went to shit. Now, you can get it back, you can get the fields back, but the longer you let them go, the longer it takes to get it to bounce back. So, when you keep it, like, we just got out of school last Wednesday. So, I mean, I've been here and making sure that if there's a spot on the field, like dead set, like shallow left center is the one spot that we're having a tough time because there's none of our sprinklers are able to get, there's like a little vortex there that they're not able to hit. But like I'm up here every day before school, hitting the timer for a couple of extra minutes, during lunch, hitting the timer for an extra couple minutes, after school, hitting the timer for a couple extra minutes. I have access to all the sprinkler controls. That's been the hardest thing, is just getting the irrigation to be consistent enough for this shit to grow. And then again, the outfield, they don't cut it enough or routinely enough. And then I realistically at some point, like I need to do some soil samples and realize what's down there, because that was something I had to beg them to do, was I just even plug the field. Like just to get them to aerate it. I'm like, look, this is something that routinely needs to be done to a field so it stays healthy. Like, it's not. Yeah, it's like that. The infield is popping right now. Like we fertilized it, and we use like I use something that the school doesn't know about, right? Like it's a fertilizer with a weed killer in it, and I have to turn off the water for a couple of days. But that kind of stuff, like, yeah, it's this time of year now that it gets hot, the Bermuda is coming back to life. So, like, when you get the heat, you really can't give it enough water out here because it gets super dry. And the more you water it, the more that Bermuda will grow. But then what they've done for us finally the last couple of years is they'll overseed the outfield, like usually in the fall time. So that way when it starts to get cold and frost out here and the Bermuda goes dormant, then the rye, it's got like different types of seed, and most of the other stuff is rye based. So then the ryegrass will start growing. So that way you have grass that's growing 12 months out of the year. Otherwise, it does get cold enough here in the winter, and it rains enough now that it will, the Bermuda just stops growing. So you get like a different color. It's almost like, one's like a little bit more green bluish, and the other one's like a bright, like the ryegrass is like a bright green.
Batter's box is really good. We had this complex in Florida. They built a turkey.
Isaac.
There's a county.
There's an
people,
Isaiah, but there's also an Isaac. There's Isaac.
The guy that was in charge of it, he's like, I want to have it make it a more baseball field. So he just made whole play area dirt. But you still have rain delays. And they had county people working on it. And I'm talking about you get in the batter box and you do that deep with each of your feet trying to hit the baseball. And I'm like, they basically buried I think you're like supposed to put like planks in the air.
There's many different ways of doing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because some people put planks or some people put bricks. Like they'll do the same thing with the mound. Because the mound and home plate are different dirt than the rest of the field. They're more
bricks
clay.
too deep. Yeah, like the bricks were like buried too deep.
Well, that's the other thing that's hard
happened
too.
was the guy that runs a big college tournament in there, he basically was like, I'll pay for it to get
Dirt, yeah. Well, that's
and they
the
were like, oh sure.
That's the hard part too. Is like in Florida, it's just super humid. So like, even if you tarp it, like the tarp is good for keeping water off, but it's also equally good for keeping water, like moisture in.
Yeah.
Cause like I came the last 2 days just to put extra water on the field. We got an extra order of Turfus. I put more Turfus on the field this year than I've ever have. I did one in the fall. I did one right before the season started. I did one halfway through the season. And then I did one right at the end of the season because our field gets used for adult league, and then I knew we were going to do this tournament, so I wanted to look nice and play nice. But the Turfus, same thing, kind of helps me when it gets hot. It helps keep the moisture in the field. So it's like, I watered it this morning. It's starting to get hot and dry, but it's like still holding some of that underneath. And then when it gets wet, it will help absorb it a little bit too. But the clay, I water it and let it dry out a little bit, but then I put the tarp on it the day before or the night before, and then when I get here, like if it's a game day, I keep the tarp on as like I'll do the lines in the morning, because when I get here in the morning it'll be like kind of a little bit wet and you need the moisture to do the paint or else it won't stick. And I'll give it a little bit of water in the morning, and then I'll put my paint down, and then I put the tarp on it, and I keep the tarp on like right up until